Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I hope you all can hear me. Welcome to the first of our Synergy open forums for SHS. This is the first time we are doing this kind of open forum where users of Synergy Homeopathic software and others who are interested in this program can come and ask Lucy and I questions. We do not have a set training. We have done several of those, but this is more of a chance for people to ask questions, or if they are having difficulties with any aspect of the program or are stumped in terms of how to go forward or to enhance their user experience. So it's a very casual, informal session. We also plan to hold these every month. So, in between trainings, make sure to collect your questions. You can write to us anytime or save them for the next open forum. I think everybody knows us, but I'm Roopali and Lucy is with me, and both of us will be hosting the session today.
Yes, good. And but we look forward to getting your questions and helping you to understand the program better. I'm going to take this off my screen and get to the actual program.
Okay. So I see the first question here, Lucy, is how can you add repertorization to a patient's personal data? So to save a clipboard to a patient.
Yes, and I'm happy to walk us all through how to save a clipboard that has repertorization on it. I'm going to close my Q&A window. Can everybody see my screen okay? Hopefully everybody can hear me. All right, so what I'll do first is go into the Repertory Module. The Repertory Module is the closed book icon here on the left. And so I'm going to create a clipboard. I'll have to do that first, and then I'll show you how to put that repertorization into the patient chart. So I'm just going to open the Mind chapter in the Reliable Repertory, and I'm going to choose, I'm going to choose a rubric. Now, I hit the return key. I highlighted this rubric you see in front of you, abrupt, and I hit the return key. I'm on a Mac computer. If you're on a Windows computer, you would hit the enter key. And when I did that, over here on the bottom left, you can see that the clipboard automatically opened. See, here it is here. And as long as that clipboard is highlighted white, I can continue to add rubrics. So I'll add a few more, and I'm going to show a little bit of navigation through the repertory at the same time that I'm putting rubrics on this clipboard. I'm in the Mind chapter now. I opened up the rest of the chapters here in the left pane. And let's say that now I wanted to move to the Nose chapter. I simply click on Nose and I find my rubric that I'm looking for. Let's say that I want to click on the right, this rubric here. I'm going to hit return. Let's say I want to go to ear. I popped over to the left pane and clicked ear in the chapters. I'm going to navigate. Right now you can see that it's on affections in general. Let's say that I wanted to find a rubric about redness. On my keyboard, I'm going to type RED. And I'm going to pop straight down to redness simply by doing that 3-letter shortcut. And I'm going to take this rubric. Okay. And you see that now, let's look at the clipboard. You can see that ear redness showed up and the other rubrics that I chose are there. All right. And so now, in order to get this clipboard, let's say that I'm finished with it, into a patient chart, you need to open a chart first. I'm going to go to patient management. I'm going to create a new patient. Now, in order to save a clipboard, you have to at least name the chart. Right now, you can see it's a generic patient tab. You have to at least name it. So I'm going to name this chart test. You can leave it at that, just the first name, but I'll go ahead and do test case. And in your patient information, if you wanted to, and this is if you want to use patient management in a more extensive way, you can complete a lot more contact information in this personal data section. There's the new session section here, the second blue stripe down. The first one is personal data. The second one is new session. And over here on the right side, you can see there's a plus sign. I'm going to click on that plus sign to open up new session. This is where you would put all the information about the patient case information. For instance, what kind of treatments they've had before, what are their symptoms, their diagnoses, any notes. You can upload files. Maybe there's a picture of a rash or another Word document that has a lot more information. You upload it here. And this is also where you'll put your remedy information, potency information, how often the person takes it, and all that information here. Now below that, you see that this third blue line is history. And right now there's really nothing in history. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to create a history line, and that's where your clipboard will go. And what you need to do is you need to hit save. You're either going to hit save here, if you happen to be here and you see this save button easily. You have the very same save button here up in patient management. This save button here is the very same one. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And when you hit save, you get this pop-up menu, and it allows you to choose the clipboard that you need to put in your chart. We only have one. That's the one I'll click. Then you have to save down here at the bottom of this pop-up menu as well. So I'm going to hit save again. Now you can see what happened under history. Now I've got a line. It gives me today's date, the time, and this is my time. I'm on Eastern time, so that's correct for me. And you see these icons over here on the left side. Now look down at the very bottom, this blue bar at the very bottom below the save button. And I'm going to scroll my mouse. This first icon you can see at the very bottom there, that allows you to edit the session. The next icon allows you to view the session. The next icon is the clipboard. This is where the clipboard will go. This is where your repertorization for the case will go. Then you also have an option, if moving right, the trash can icon. It allows you to delete the session if you want to get rid of that line. And then this I here is more, and that's mostly for if you've transferred some cases from the old programs into this one, you're going to be finding information here. Okay, so this clipboard over here on this side, I want you to see where you can see it on the left side currently. Look over here. I am now going to close this chart, and I'm going to show you how to reopen the chart and get the clipboard back. So we're going to go up here, the test case tab. I'm going to close it by clicking on this X right here. That's how you close your chart. And it asks a question. Do you want to close the clipboard with the patient? And I'm going to say yes. All right. And now over here on the left below the clipboard icon, you can see the clipboard is gone. Now, how do I get it back? You open up your chart. Now you go into patient management and you hit view patients. And test case is where that clipboard went that we created just now. You click on this line anywhere and it highlights it. Just click on it anywhere and it gets highlighted. Come down here and click view. You scroll down to the bottom, and again, these icons you see, and you come to the one that represents the clipboard and you double click. And now you can see that my clipboard reappeared right here on the left. There it is.
Lucy, if I
Yeah.
may interrupt, there is another question a little bit later on, which is saying, how could I make changes to this clipboard and then save it again?
Okay.
So maybe since you are here already, we could do that, add a rubric or delete a rubric or change the clipboard in some way and then
Okay.
save it
Let's
again.
do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the repertory module and I'll pick another rubric. Do you see how the 4 turned to a 5? So there, I got that new rubric there. I've made the change to this saved clipboard. All right, and so then you simply go to patient management, save, and you're going to update, save. Let me do that one more time, save, and we're going to update. We're going to save it. Okay. Roopali,
No, it updates the clipboard, Lucy. So
Yeah.
if you now close the patient and open it up again, it
Okay.
should have 5 rubrics.
Thank you, Roopali.
If we, when you hit save and then you get 2 options, which is to create a new session or to update the existing session. There are 2 choices. And depending on how you are looking at that case or managing that case, or if it's a new session with that patient, you want to save it as a new session, you have both of those choices.
I will say at times this hasn't worked for me. Roopali, I know it's worked for you very well all the time. So if this doesn't work for me, I may have you show. And
Absolutely.
we are working on, improving patient management. That's one of the huge changes that's coming out with the next big update, is getting rid of some of the few little glitches that we have had. All right, so I'm going to go down here and I'm going to reopen the clipboard. All right, there you go.
Yeah.
And so there, all 5 rubrics are on the clipboard.
Yeah.
So very good.
Yes, it does work consistently for me so that I can go back to my saved cases and make changes to the patient's file, whether it's in clipboards or other information, and save it or update it and then come back and it's usually there. I have really had no trouble with it. Okay, so somebody is asking, how can I erase the clipboard?
Oh,
So that's
very easily, very easily. You simply right click on it and you have the option to delete it. So a right click on a Mac is you hold down the control key and click at the same time. That gives you the message to delete, and you don't have to right click the delete message. You simply delete with a regular click. So that's how you do it. That's one way. Another way is you right click on this clipboard icon and you select the one that you want to delete. I've opened up a few extra clipboards. I'm going to select those. I'm going to hit delete. And now you can see those are gone. So there's several ways that you can delete a clipboard. Also, I've had people ask me, how do you delete a rubric off of a clipboard? And it's very simple. You simply highlight it and you can right click again, you can right click and hit delete here. Or in my mind, it's simpler to use the keyboard shortcuts. On a Mac computer, you hit Command Delete. There it goes. If you're on a Windows computer, you just hit delete.
Thank you, Lucy. There is a question, and I believe, so the question is, can I change the sequence of the rubrics manually in the clipboard? And I believe that, I might be wrong, in the current version, that's not possible, but it will be possible in the next version.
Correct. Yes, currently it's not possible to change the order. I know on the old programs you can click, hold, and drag and rearrange. Currently you can't do that, but it will be coming in the next update. I do know that if, for instance, if you decide you want to grade a rubric, give it more stress, weight it more, and you give it, actually, let me do a different one so you can sort of see what happens. So I'm going to grade this a 3. And now you see what happened. This rubric popped up to the top because my clipboard is sorted according to grade. And so that's why that one popped up to the top.
Actually, before we end up deleting all of those rubrics, there is a question about how to combine 2 or more rubrics.
Sure. All right, so you have to choose at least 2 rubrics. And so let's go ahead and we'll just choose 2. Now to select 2, of course, you just click on one if you just want to click on one, if you want to highlight one. If you want to highlight more than one, which you have to do in order to combine rubrics, you have to hold down the Command key. If you're on a Mac computer, that would be holding down the Control key if you're on a Windows computer. So I've done that and I have 2 rubrics selected. And now this is the icon here. Do you see where it says make group? I have my mouse hovering over this icon. That's what you select in order to combine 2 rubrics. This window pops up and you have to name it. Combined. You hit OK. And now you can see how it shows up. It shows up here on the clipboard, and the 2 rubrics that are within it are underneath it. And on the graph, it shows up with just the name of the combined rubric.
Okay, good. There is a question asking, can I save this repertorization chart to my desktop? And unfortunately, that's not possible to save it as a file, but you can certainly take a screenshot of that repertorization and save it to your desktop.
You can also print, the graph will print. So that's a possibility currently. I believe in the next update, more possibilities will be coming. I think you'll be able to print both the clipboard side and the graph side. Am I right about that, Roopali?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Okay.
Somebody saying that they can't see their clipboard. I don't see why that would happen unless you have several clipboards open. And then when that is true, like for example, you have more than 8 or 9 clipboards, then the clipboards actually go down and you end up getting a scroll bar.
Yes.
To see some of your higher numbered clipboards.
Right. And so you can see here, I've opened numerous ones. There's a scroll bar and you just have to scroll to get to them like that.
Okay. You selected ears redness, Lucy, and the question is, how can I search all rubrics that have redness in them? And so that would be a nice way to show global search.
It certainly would.
And you could search for rubrics that have redness in them in a particular section or in all sections of all repertories. So that would be a nice demonstration.
Yes, this will be a good way to show a little bit of filtering as well. So redness in all your repertories. This global search bar up here is really one of the very best features of the SHS. In the old programs, the reference works program, you had the window that had the finger. This is that window. And so redness, and it's in the global search window. Right now, I just want to point out we're in patient management. You don't have to go to global search in order to use this search window. It is anywhere in the program. You have access to it pretty much anywhere. So here we are, redness. I'm going to activate the search by clicking on this search icon. You can also activate the search by hitting the return or enter key on your computer. So there we go. And it's going to have a large result. So it's taking a minute to think because we didn't hone it down. Redness is going to be everywhere in the repertories. I'll show you how you can filter that down to a specific chapter as soon as we pull this search up. All right, here we go. Okay, so everything on the left side here in the light gray, the left pane, they call it, right here on this side, this is all your result. Everything you see here, and I'm going to close the reliable repertory by clicking on the minus sign. Every single one of these books here on the left side, you can see what a huge result it is, has the word redness. Right now, because reliable repertory is at the top of this list, that's what you see first. But you could go to any one of these repertories and see the result as well. I've just clicked on Allen's. I've just now click on Boger's. You can go to whichever one and you can see the word red. It's actually, it gave you the word red or redness everywhere in your repertory library. So whatever repertory library you have, the result will show here. Mine is big. I've got the Visionary edition. So if you're looking at your books and you're saying, well, wait a second, I don't have that many, it could be because you have either maybe a student edition or a foundation edition. So you might not have quite as many repertories. Now, so here's the result in the repertories. And now you can see we are in the global search module. You can see that this magnifying glass is highlighted. Whenever you activate a search up here in the global search window, you end up going to the global search module. All right, and so you get a repertory result and a reference library result. And the reason I got both is because I chose to search in both my repertories and my reference library. You can choose to turn one of those off if you prefer to only search in one of those modules. I always keep them on. I don't see any point in turning them off, honestly. But if you are a person who only likes to repertorize with references, you can turn the repertories off. When you do very complex searches, which I can show you one a little later, you're not going to get a repertory result. So if you're somebody who is doing a lot of complex searching up in the search window and you want to bypass the repertories altogether, you can turn this off just by, unticking the check. But right now we have them both checked. And so here we are in the repertory result. I'm going to click this next tab over, the reference library tab, to get my reference library result. This will look familiar to you if you're familiar with reference works. This is the result in the reference library. 2,548 remedies and 13, many references. Okay, now I can show this very same search result with a filter on it. And you'll see that first of all, Roopali, are there any other questions about this?
So there are several questions.
Okay.
One around this is, of course, how to use the search bar efficiently beyond the one-word search, like redness.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can show that.
Complex searches or filtered searches.
Absolutely. I'm gonna do that. But anything on this based on this basic? Any questions into the basic search process?
I'm looking. Okay. I'm just scrolling through. I think there are a lot more questions in Clipboard and Repertorization.
Okay.
And then, yes.
Okay. Well, should I go ahead and show some filtering here while we're here?
Why not?
How about if I do that? I'd like to show you how to filter. Now, there's several ways to filter. If you have in mind, like for instance, a specific kingdom, redness, but you think your case is a plant relates to the plant kingdom.
And so even just by section, Lucy, what if you're looking for redness rubrics in the nose section?
Yes, you can certainly do that too.
Yes.
Let me show that. So redness in the nose. So you simply type the word nose and you pause at the end of that E. Don't put a space, because then you'll get this drop-down menu. And I'm going to go to the drop-down menu and you can see nose section. I'm going to highlight that. Now that turned it red. Sorry, that turned it blue. All right, so now I'm going to activate this search. And what I like to do is I like to keep my searches from before. So instead of hitting the return key or the search icon, what that would do is override this Redness search that I did before. What I want to do is open a new tab so that I can go back to my previous searches. And this is, again, one of the really nice features of this program. In the old programs, you could only do one search at a time. You couldn't really, keep the previous searches very easily. So in order to activate a new tab, you hit the plus sign. You can see where it says open in a new tab. So I'm going to hit that. And you can see now how much more quickly that came up. It's a much smaller search. And again, we have the reliable repertory at top because that is our cornerstone repertory. And you can see that only the nose chapter has a result because that's what we filtered for. And again, you can choose any of these books. Let's say we wanted to go look at Kent's. Kent's also is only filtered for the nose chapter, and you can choose that too. And then you'll go into the reference library tab, and you can see here that only the nose section is showing. You can see that. All right, so let me quickly show you something else though. So I'm going to take off nose. Actually, let's say that you think it's plant kingdom. Redness of the nose, you think you want redness of the nose and you think that your case belongs in the plant kingdom. And so I'm going to put that filter on as well. I'm going to reactivate another tab, another search tab by hitting the plus sign again. And now it's an even smaller search. I've got two criteria, nose chapter, plants only. And you can see that now we're looking in the nose chapter, we're only looking at plants. And boom, you got to it like that. Now, this is a great way to filter if you know one or two things. You use this global search bar up here. You can also filter here. So there's several ways you can filter in global search. I would use this one if you want to do even more complex, you want to put even more filters on. So let's say you wanted the nose chapter, you wanted plant kingdom, and you wanted to only look in the reliable repertory. Then I'd come over here. That would be the best way to maybe do this, is if you have a more complex. Any questions, Roopali?
I think so filtering is obviously a very important aspect of honing in on your search results. But Lucy, maybe we could do a couple of complex searches. So
yes,
several criteria within a remedy or within a section.
Sure.
Or within...
Yes, absolutely. I've got one.
And that would be obviously more of a reference works type of search and not in the repertories.
Exactly, and I'll show you why. So cough, let's say within 3 words of morning, you got to spell it right. In the same remedy. And does everyone understand how I'm getting to these shortcut phrases? I'm using my keyboard to make the letter, to make the number 3. I simply hit 3 on my keyboard. To get this remedy connection, on my space bar, you hit your space bar, various times to get these connectors. Let me keep going. Fear within 3 words of dark. In the same paragraph as dog. I'm just making stuff up here. By the way, over here, this icon here, this is another way, if you don't know the keyboard shortcuts to get to remedy and paragraph up there in global search, you can use these. But I highly recommend you get real familiar with the keyboard shortcuts. They're a lot easier. So here I have something a little bit more complex. Now, if you look at this search, you're not going to find a rubric that has all of these words in it. So When you activate this search, you're not going to get a repertory result. And I'll show you how that looks. We'll activate another tab. And this is what happens. Repertory result not found due to the complexity of the search. But you do have the reference library result. And there it is. And so any questions on that, Roopali?
No, I think the question was mainly how could we efficiently use the global search to do complex searches?
Okay. Does everybody understand the connector words, connector numbers?
Right.
I've
And
had
they're actually exactly the same as they used to be or are in reference works.
Yeah, they are.
You use your number keys to do the number within so many words of, and the other parameters, we use the space bar. And so, and it's exactly the same functionality as it was there in reference works. So there are many, many, many questions on clipboards and repertorization. So it might be a good idea to go back to that.
All right.
There is also another question on saving the clipboard to a patient chart. The question is, it asks you to update the session or to create a new one. And most of the time, it doesn't save it in the same patient. When I press on save, I do not see the new clipboard session. If you want to see the new clipboard as a different session, then you have to create a new session and not update the current session. So this is the difference. Every time, if someone makes a change to the clipboard and wants that saved as a different clipboard, when you save it, then make sure that you save it as a new session and do not update the current session. If you update or hit save or update the current session, then it will just change the current clipboard and add those changes into that clipboard. You won't see a different session and a different clipboard. Okay, so how can we move a rubric between clipboards?
Okay. So let's say we want to take nose right. You just hit Command C. This is the easiest way for me. You can also right click and copy. So you have two choices. If you're somebody who wants to do the right click and go down here and copy, or just to highlight and do Command C, then you open up your new clipboard and you click into the clipboard space and hit Command V. Or if you had gone copy rubric, you right click and you'll see the paste option. Want me to do the copy and paste other way so people can see? So here I am. And let's say I'm going to do the right click, copy rubric. I'll come over to clipboard 2. I'm going to right click, I'm going to paste. So either way, if you're somebody who likes to do keyboard shortcuts, which I like, I do Command C, Command V. If you're on a Windows computer, obviously you do Control C, Control V.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So that was moving a rubric between clipboard. We already looked at how to combine similar rubrics, but maybe you can quickly go through it one more time.
Okay, we're having some more questions. Let me throw a couple more rubrics on this clipboard. Okay, all right, so I just threw a few more rubrics on so we have something to work with. All right, so here we have this. You have to make sure that you highlight the 2 that you, or 3 or 4. You don't, you can combine multiple rubrics. It doesn't just have to be 2. And so to highlight multiple rubrics, hold down the Command key to select a second, third, or fourth one. If you're on a Mac computer, if you're on a Windows computer, you would hold down the Control key to select that second, third, or fourth rubric. Okay, once you've done that, there's some icons up here on the clipboard. This one that looks like a folder, click that, and you got a drop-down menu. I'm going to title it Ear Redness. Hit OK. And that's how you do it. And you can uncombine.
Yes, there was a question about that as well.
Yes, if you right click right on the name of the combined rubric and you hit ungroup, you can go back to the way you were.
I hope everybody got that. I think there were a couple of questions about that.
Want me to do it one more time?
Sure, I think it doesn't hurt.
So to combine rubrics, you make sure they're highlighted. You click on this icon here. You name it whatever you wish. Hit OK. So now it's combined. And if you want to uncombine, you position your mouse on the name, the name of the combined rubric, and you right click, and then you hit ungroup. That's also how you can edit the group name if you decide you want a different name. I think you saw that.
Yeah. Okay. And Lucy, whenever you get tired, let me know. And
Okay.
There are two very similar questions, which is, what is the easiest way to look up a remedy? And related to that, is there a way to find all the rubrics attributed to a single remedy?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So the way you would do that would be in the reference library module, which is here, the open book icon here on the left. And you can see that once you're in the reference library module, you can either look at remedies or books. So if you want to go straight to remedies, this would be the way to do that. Let's say that you want to, you want to look up, I don't know, I'm having a Nux vomica. And so you find it easily in the type to search window. Here it is. And in order to find out which books it contain information about Nux vomica, you click on the plus sign. Okay, and so now this is the remedy that you're interested in. Below it are every single book that has information about Nux vomica in it. Now, you can open multiple tabs to read about Nux vomica in multiple books. Did you see how I started with my, the remedy name is highlighted? I used my down arrow to move my cursor into the books. And now that my cursor is in the books, I can very easily jump to a book that I'm interested in. Let's say I want Morrison's Desktop Guide. Just on my keyboard, not in a type to search window, just on my keyboard, not positioning my mouse anywhere. I'm going to type MORR. And there it is. Well, the desktop companion, the desktop guide is right below it. This is what I want. I'm going to click on it. Now I can read about Nux vomica in Morrison's Desktop Guide. Now, what if I want to see all the rubrics about Nux vomica? You have to go to a reversed repertory for that. And I know that the Reliable has a reversed repertory. So I'm still in my books here. You can see the highlight is still within the books. And I'm going to type on my keyboard, REL, and pop right to the Reliable reversed repertory. Now, in order to open this in a new tab where I don't override the Morrison's Desktop Guide tab, because I want to keep that, I'm not going to click Reliable Repertory, Reversed Repertory. I'm going to right click. So again, hold my control key down, click, get this message, open it in a new tab. And now I'm looking at all the rubrics about Nux vomica in the Reliable Reversed Repertory. Let's say I wanted to look at Nux vomica and Fatox. Again, my highlighting is down in the books. I'm going to type PHA. PHA. Let's look at my.
Maybe you accidentally clicked in the
I
right
did.
thing,
Yeah,
Lucy.
AHA, there we go. All right, and here we have Fatox reversed. I'm going to right click on that. Oops, sorry, I did that wrong. I did what I tell people not to do. Let me get the other one back so that I can show you a comparison.
Reliable.
Yeah, the reliable. Here it is. Okay, so now I've got Fatox reverse repertory, reliable reverse repertory. And let's say I wanted to compare, where I'm looking at the rubrics from both of these reversed repertories, all about Nux Vomica. I can come over here. I can, the reliable reversed is already selected. So really I only need to choose Fatox. Hit okay. And so now I'm looking at Nux Vomica in 2 reversed repertories, all the all the rubrics under that one remedy.
Mhm.
So that is the best way to do that, to research a remedy.
And actually, so Nux is a polycrest and a common remedy. And so obviously in most people's libraries, you will see numerous references.
Yeah.
But if it is a less common remedy, then all of the references available about that remedy will be underneath it, visible in one pane without having to scroll. And you can open, you can study all of them or whichever one of them that you are attracted to. There is a question on, how can you read the different sources about one remedy? And, the easiest way is to find the remedy using either the 3-letter shortcut or the type to search option. And then your remedy will pop up and all of the references underneath it can be expanded using the minus plus sign.
Right. For instance, this very first remedy that pops up in the list, because they're in alphabetical order, and this one is a very small remedy. It's only in the reliable reversed in Vermeulen's source and substance.
Right.
So, you can see this particular very small remedy has only 2 references to go with it.
Okay, so somebody wants to know if our no remedies view was highlighted. And I think that would be good to show how to change your view in Repertorization.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And so if you were to select no remedies, Lucy.
This eye icon in your repertory module will allow you to adjust your view however you prefer. Here we have no remedies, no sub-rubrics, no authors, no cross-references. I'm keeping the remedy count. And that's what that looks like.
And so the question is, you could hit the space bar in Mac Repertory to see the remedies temporarily.
And you can do that here as well.
Exactly. Okay. There is another question about how do I check the previous rubrics that I navigated? And this is not currently available in this version, but it is absolutely coming in the next version. And you can go back to your searches and as well as the rubrics and sections that you traversed and go back to your history, basically. There will be a back button or a history button.
Yes, we're bringing that feature back. It was in Mac Repertory. We're bringing it into SHS as well. Yeah. I do want to point out that, you can always go back to, I just want to click on the search area again, just to show you anytime, you can come back and it's not like it starts over. You're right back where you left it. So I just wanted to show you that. It's a nice thing that you can get right back to your searches.
Right. There are a couple of questions about crossing rubrics or elimination, and I believe that is coming in the next version as well. printing the graph properly is also coming in the next version.
Mhm.
How to copy and paste the graph or your rubrics easily into a Word document or another program will also come in the next version. Currently, you can copy and paste rubrics into a Word document, but not the graph. The graph can only be saved and reproduced in a Word document or another word processing software using the screenshot application, unfortunately. Okay, let's see. Is there a way to see the full rubrics next to the graph? This is also being corrected in the next version.
Yeah.
In fact, I know we're saying a lot of things are coming in the next version. The next update is going to be a huge update, and there will be several changes and improvements, as well as a complete overhaul of the user interface, the way it looks now.
I'm going to have to redo all the videos because it's going to look completely different.
Yes, exactly. Okay. By default, the rubrics have a grade of 1. I believe that that is correct. Or is it that they have a grade of 0?
They have a grade of 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So somebody is asking that they love what we showed about the search bar and are asking if we can have a full training dedicated only to filtering and global searches. And we can certainly do that. In fact, maybe it might be a good idea to have a training session just for repertorization, rubrics, and clipboards, and another one dedicated to searching.
It might be a good time to mention our YouTube channel. I don't know if the person has
Go ahead.
gone and checked out Synergy Homeopathic has a YouTube channel. We have a playlist dedicated to Synergy Homeopathic software. And within that, we have a case done completely in global search, which Roopali did. That's a video. There's a global search video. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely go there. But that's a great idea to have a training about global search. Go more in depth.
Right. Somebody is asking, they weren't able to understand how we chose in the global search, how we chose remedies and paragraph.
Okay.
So if you want to do that a little bit slowly one more
Yeah,
time,
sure.
and I'll look through other questions.
So you know, if you want to put 2, 3, 4, however many words, however many numbers, let's say we do cough within 5. What I did to get that number is I used my numeric keypad. So on my keyboard, I used the number 5. And the reason why do you choose 3 or 5? You know, the bigger the number, it will make the search bigger because you're allowing the computer to look at cough within 5 words of morning versus within 3 words of morning. So it broadens. So let's keep going. Now within the same remedy, I got to that. You can either come over here and use this and click in the same remedy. That's one way to do it. Or you can use your keyboard shortcut by hitting the space bar. I hit the space bar one time and I get just a space, and that's just the 2 words next to each other. If I hit the space bar a second time, it's within the same sentence. Third time, paragraph. Fourth hit on the space bar, section. Fifth hit on the space bar, remedy. So that's how that goes. You know, within fear, within 3 words of dark. Why can't I spell dark right today? There we go. And again, you can come over here and do in the same paragraph this way, or use the space bar. So I hope that made it clearer.
Okay. Clicking on, so for somebody saying that clicking on grade doesn't reveal the number options, maybe we can show them that again, how to grade the rubrics within a clipboard.
Okay. Now let me go here to my clipboard again. So in order to, I know in the old programs, you could simply highlight and hit a number on your keyboard, but in this program currently, you have to right click and you come down here to grade, and you choose the grade that way. So you have to right click on the rubric and then you go to grade and choose the number, however strong you think that rubric is for your case. Did I answer the question?
I guess we'll find out if it comes back.
Okay.
Somebody is asking how they can, so there are several questions on what is the reliable repertory, and can we put it second or further down on the list of repertories? I guess that means can we put the repertory we want at the top? So maybe you can, if you want to say something about the reliable, and then I can add to it, and also show everybody how to make their preferred reference and repertory the one at the top.
Right. So you go to user preference, and then you can see you have the choices: select default repertory or select default reference library. Right now I've got Alan's keynote selected as my reference, but I can certainly choose something else. You know, I really like Morrison's, so I can find that. But whichever one, let's just choose one and I'll show you how it works. I'll choose Douglas's Materia Medica. Okay, so that's chosen. When I go back here and I go to my books, again.
I think you have to restart the program, Lucy.
No, I don't. Look.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And there it is, Douglas's. It's popped up to the top. Now, currently, I'm unable to select a default repertory because so Roopali, maybe if your program's doing it, but the default repertory currently isn't working, but it will be working in the update. Let's say
actually in the next update, I believe, don't hold me to it, but I believe that you can select your top 5 repertories and your top 5 reference books and place them at the top of the list. Most people don't work with just one book. In fact, most people have a collection of books that they really like to use for their research. And the same with repertories too. We generally have a collection. And so in the next update, it will be possible to take the top 5 repertories and customize them with your own choices. And then the same goes for your reference section.
Yes, that was, we've listened to a lot of our customers' feedback, and that was one of the things that came out loud and clear, is that people really wanted to be able to kind of stick to the, you know, their top 5, their favorite books, and not always have to be going and searching for them. So we listened and changed accordingly. So.
Yes. Okay. And then to answer the question about several questions about the reliable repertory, this is an attempt with our group.
Polly, I'm sorry. While you're talking, I'm gonna step away for 1 minute, and
yeah,
I'll be.
Of course, no problem. So the reliable is an effort on Synergy Homeopathics part. It was started several years ago, I think 9 years ago now, to come up with a repertory that has remedies and rubrics that have been verified by the tracing of the exact source. It was considered that current repertories, the most modern ones, are quite bloated, and the rubrics have become unmanageable, and there is a lot of information included where, you know, the sources can't really be traced, or it's sort of like secondary, tertiary even later sources are in and the original source can't be traced. So the effort was started to develop a repertory that would be reliable and verifiable. And in fact, I think I will have to share. Oh, so Lucy left, and unless she stops share, I can share, I think. Let me see if I can share. Yes. So, okay. So I think you're looking at my screen now.
I'm back.
Okay. Yeah, I switched to my screen.
Okay.
So just, I'm going to show everybody, let's see. Can't really. Yeah, I have a lot of the Zoom pieces on the screen as well, and I can't see the edge of my program. Okay, so I will reveal the remedies here. And when you go into the reliable, so the work is an ongoing process, and we have also last year partnered with the Materia Medica Pura project. So all of the remedy additions will now be coming from that group. And you can see when you go into the reliable now, a lot of the remedies have this little star next to them. And that basically shows that there is a reference string available for that remedy. And all you have to do is do a right click and say, you get several options. The first one is view reference string. And if you click on that, it shows you the rubric that we were looking at, the meaning of the rubric, all of the remedies in the rubric, and the reference string that shows you the original source that that remedy came from. So for hyoscyamus, you can see that that original reference came from Gibson. And it tells you a little bit about why that remedy was included in that rubric. And so sometimes, that nuance of why that remedy was included in that rubric may not be appropriate for your case. And so it's a way to even fine tune the rubrics that you include or the remedies that you pick and why they were in that rubric. And if that nuance doesn't apply to your patient, then that remedy may not be right for them. So it's not just a way to verify that this is a good remedy to be in that rubric. It's also a way to see if it matches your case or not. And you can scroll down and you can see, I think at the moment, about 40% of the total remedies have reference string attached to them, and the work is ongoing to add the sources for the others. So this is a work in progress, but you'll find that a lot of remedies have reference strings, and you can see not just the source, but the meaning in that context. So that's a little bit about reference strings and the reliable. Let me see some of the other questions. So here is a question about being able to compare two remedies or to search and compare two different repertories by opening them in tabs on top of the search window. And this user is not able to do this with the right click. So in fact, I think I was here. So I was actually, before the webinar, I was looking at a case and looking to decide between two ranunculaceae remedies, which are both very common actually, pulsatilla and Staphylos agria. So what I did was I was looking at the rubrics, and these are nose rubrics for, the first one is pulsatilla and the second one is Staphylos agria. And I was looking at a specific rubric and seeing which remedy has that better expressed, and it was nose obstruction. And so I'm really basically comparing pulsatilla in the 2019 reversed with Staphylococcus aureus in the 2019 reversed for the nose section on both sides. And it helps me pick, or it tells me which remedy has a better expression of an obstructed nose and in what aspects. But I'll show you how to compare two remedies from the same source or two different repertories. The control right click and open in a new tab is the way to do this. So perhaps there is something in the way the keys are being clicked on your computer that it's not working, but this is a bug-free functionality and it works actually perfectly. So I'm going to close this and let's say that you want to compare two different remedies in the same source, which is sort of what I was doing. But let's say we are looking at Belladonna. And so here is Belladonna, and all of the references in Belladonna will be under Belladonna here. Lucy likes Morrison, so maybe we can go to Morrison. And so I typed MOR, so it took me to Morgan's diabetes, but I'm looking at this one. So now I have Belladonna under Morrison. And so I could do two things. I could compare two remedies in Morrison, or I could compare Belladonna in two different sources. So let's say that I looked at Morrison and the other reference I wanted to look at was Mangialavori. And so then I would just say open in a new tab. And now I have Mangialavori's Belladonna over here. And then I could do the same thing for Murphy. And all I'm doing is a right click. And when it says open in a new tab, I say that. And now I have three different sources of Belladonna side by side. So this is one way to do this. And then as Lucy had earlier demonstrated, if you wanted to read two together, then you choose which two you want. Murphy's is already highlighted, so the other one that I choose will be the one to compare against Murphy's. If you actually wanted to do Morrison and Mangialavori, then you would have to get out of here and you would have to choose one of them and then go back to the side-by-side icon and click on Morrison. So now what it's going to do is whichever one you click over here or highlight, this is the one that will be compared to the active tab over here. So now we have Morrison and the active tab is Mangialavori. And when you do that, you get them side by side. So of course, we could do that. You could have 5 different tabs open at the top, or the other thing I can do here is to compare Belladonna against another remedy. And you can compare that, which is what I was doing. So let's say the other one is stramonium. And then you could compare stramonium with any reference that's available for stramonium. But, to me, it would make sense that you would look at it in the same reference or the same author, because different authors write in different ways or have different ways of looking at remedies. And so I would go to Mangialavori again and say open in a new tab. And now, I must have accidentally clicked something. So let me show you that again. But so we have stramonium over here, and then you can go to your second remedy. Oh, I did that again. I'm so sorry. I'm supposed to click on the right click and go to, so let's try that one more time. So we go to Mangilavori Solanaceae and we have Belladonna. And I'm going to type Stram, go here, and then look for, oh, let's try, yep. And hopefully now we have Belladonna in one and Stramonium in the other. And we can again choose one of these to compare against, and you can have two remedies side by side. So I was comparing Pulsatilla and Staphysagria in the 2019 reversed. And now we are looking at Stramonium and Belladonna in Mangilavori's book. So this is the way to compare either two references or two remedies. Let's see if there are other questions. How can you find all the rubrics with Lacacinum, for instance? Lucy had shown that, but I'm happy to do that one more time to look at the specific, one specific remedy and all of the rubrics associated with it. So here you could just type LAC and it will show you all the LAC remedies and you can choose the remedies. So in this case, the user is interested in Lacacinum. And so you would just open this and it shows you all of your references. So in my library, these are all the references I have available for Lacacinum. And if you want to see all of the rubrics, I would go to the 2019 because that's the latest reverse repertory that I have. And I would open this, and these are all of the sections on Lacacinum. And you could also just go here and this would show up all the sections, and you could scroll through them. These are all the rubrics for Lacacinum. Or if you're interested in a specific section, then you can just navigate from the left-hand pane to go directly to that section. The next question is, in this program, in any rubric, I am unable to search a sub-rubric by just typing the 3 letters. I have to scroll down. I have not tried to search a sub-rubric from the repertory section. Usually, if I'm looking for a sub-rubric, I tend to go to global search. So, for example, Forsaken should bring up, it will bring up Forsaken in rubrics as well as sub-rubrics. So you can see anxiety Forsaken, you can see delusions Forsaken, dreams Forsaken, and then which are all sub-rubrics, but Forsaken as a rubric will also come up here. And then of course, the sub-rubrics of Forsaken, but I know there's also, I think Fear Forsaken of Being. Yeah, here it is, Fear Forsaken of Being, that will come up. So I prefer when I'm looking for sub-rubrics to go to global search, and that will give you, for a repertory search, it will give you the rubrics, sub-rubrics, and sub-rubrics with that word that you're looking for. I can definitely, I don't know, Lucy, do you know if we can do the 3-letter shortcut for a sub-rubric, or if this is coming in the next version? I can certainly ask that question and come back to all our users for next time.
Yes, it's difficult. It's better to turn your sub-rubrics off. You can navigate this program much more easily if you keep your sub-rubrics off, and then you get to the sub-rubric and use your directional arrows. Maybe you want to show them how to, that was actually a question I had noted, showing how to navigate to sub-rubrics using the directional arrows. Roopali.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to, I prefer my view with no remedies. I like the white space. And it navigates faster too. So as you all know, anything that has a plus sign indicates that there are sub-rubrics. And so if you have the rubric highlighted, and I will just hit the right arrow key, and it takes me to the sub-rubrics under abrupt, mind abrupt. And if I then click on, using my keyboard, click on the left arrow key, it takes me back up one level into the rubrics again. And you can keep doing that depending on how many levels of sub-rubrics there are. So if we go to activity, and then we go to the next level of sub-rubrics. And then as you can see, there are further levels here. So I will hit the right arrow key again. And you can see on your, this is, we call this a breadcrumb trail. It's like a, you know, a trail of breadcrumbs that tells you where you've been. And so you can see that now we are in mind, activity, desires, and you know, you can keep using your keyboard to go down even lower, all the way to the bottom, to headache in spite of. And now we could use the left arrow key to come all the way back out one level at a time. Or you could have even used your breadcrumb trail to go directly into whichever level that you wanted to. So I will show you that one more time. I think I went to desires and then here. And so now we could use the left arrow key to come back, or if you decided that you didn't want to be here anymore and you just, you know, you could do mind over here. And then of course you can always navigate back to mind on the left-hand side in the left pane and come directly back up. There's an interesting question, Lucy, about a search. I want to find a repertory that deals mainly with veterinary. So I don't do personally much work in that area. But I know, I mean, the main veterinary work that I know of is the New World veterinary. And so that's how I would look for it in my references. Is there another way to pull out all of the veterinary repertories or references, perhaps through a filter? I'm not sure.
Yeah, because to search the books, you really need the author name.
Right.
But yeah, if we, I know that there are certain veterinary reference books, but they would be on book lists on our website, you know,
Right.
where we kind of go down the lists of the books that are in each
Yes.
edition.
Right.
Rupali, there's a real easy question when you're,
Mhm.
can you think of anything else that there?
Sorry, what question was that?
Oh, actually, so try going to the global search filter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, go to the global search filter icon.
And
And
you're
then and then look at books. And I guess they could also look at all the books in there. And you'd have,
well, I mean, you could look at author.
well, if you click, you're in repertories right now, but if you clicked on Materia Medica, you could see all the books.
Right, but you would still, I don't know if we
I
typed,
wonder, let's try that.
I don't think that would bring it up.
Did you try to hit enter and nothing came up? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need the author name.
I think we need the author name or the name that the book actually starts with. I think there's no way at the moment, although this might be a good idea to something to take back to the development team. So since you know, if you, especially if you have a huge library, and you want to look at specific kinds of references, and in this case, the user wants to look at veterinary references, you can come to the 3-book icon over here. And when you click that, your references are organized by category. And there is a veterinary tab here to look for all your veterinary references. I don't know what would happen when I do this, but I guess, yes. So all my veterinary references come up, but I don't know how to do this for repertories. This feature is available for your entire library of references. And you can certainly isolate all your veterinary references, or just materia medica, or just your journals, or the philosophy collection, or if you're only wanting to look at proving, so you hit reset, and it goes back to your whole library, and then you can choose whichever one. So if I say provings, for example, and say okay, it will basically pull up all the provings in my library. And so that's another way to kind of organize and look at specific collections of references.
Polly, one of the attendees is mentioning, show how you can reset that 3-book icon, because somebody is saying that they have the visionary edition, but they looked under lac asinum and didn't see half of the books that you have, even though they have visionary. So I wonder, sometimes I've had people reset right here. You hit reset under this
So,
icon.
sometimes you might have accidentally clicked a particular selection. Like, for example, I had clicked proving, and then I forget about it. And I forget that actually now my references are restricted only to provings. And I might go to remedies and look for lac asinum, but I might find only 1 or 2, or only the proving. So you have to make sure that you reset, and then all of my references are back. And I go back to remedies and lac asinum. So remember that the top 4 are reverse repertories, and they will depend on which repertories you own, and you will only get the reverse of the repertory that you own. And then in terms of references, these are the list of references that I have. Now, some of these, like VQ mammals and the sensation reversed, you only have if you have Vital Quest. So really, essentially then for the lac asinum references, there's source and substance, there's shares cura, which you also have to buy separately. And then there's Marilli, Mangialavori, and Hatherley. So really there are 4 authors that are available in the visionary edition for lac asinum. The rest are all optional purchases. Okay. So there is a question I see here about how to research redness of nose and fear of dogs in the same remedy. I think that was the search that you had done, Lucy. Right. Let's see if there are other questions. What does a number mean in a global search word? The number means that you are looking for this quality within that number of words in any reference next to the other quality that you're saying. So for example, I'll use a simpler one. If I say fear within 4 words of dark, it means that you're looking for any rubrics that have fear and dark within 4 words of each other, and any references that have fear and dark within 4 words of each other. So fear and dark can be next to each other. They can be separated by off. They can be separated by 3 other words, and they would still come up in this search. So you see, so here in that first rubric, fear and dark are separated by 2 words, but it will pick up all rubrics that have fear and dark within 4 words. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the same thing would be, and this would come up obviously in all your repertories, and it would come up also in your references. So
Roopali, somebody asked the question, why are some rubrics without remedies? It might be a good time to show cross references.
yes, yeah. So as you can see here, there will be rubrics that are here. So here, let's start from the top. So there are rubrics that have a remedy count next to them. So clearly they have those remedies under that rubric. Then you have rubrics that have no remedy count, but that have a plus sign. That indicates that there are sub-rubrics. Then you have rubrics here that have neither a plus sign nor a remedy count, and you wonder why they're there. So abashed here is one such rubric. And so I would go into my view menu and I would turn cross references on and say, okay. And now if I go to abashed and all I did was type ABA, it takes me back to abashed and it gives me several options for actual rubrics that are that would sit in for that word. So abashed, you can choose embarrassment, mortification, remorse, or timidity. It depends on the nuance. And then you can click on any of these and it would take you to that rubric. So I'm going to click on mortification. And you see it takes me to mortification, and that is a rubric that can be put in the clipboard. And it also has its own cross-references available that can then lead you to other options. You can select indignation and it would take you to indignation. And so cross-references is a really nice feature that, you know, if you have a rubric or a word in your head that you find, it takes you to other options that you may not have considered, or that other rubrics similar to this rubric that might be available in different parts of the repertory, not just in the section that you're in. And that helps you to create a fuller rubric. You could even put multiple aspects of that rubric into your clipboard and then combine it together to create a theme or a combined rubric, and express that quality in a fuller way. Okay, so that's about cross-references.
Somebody wanted to know how you open a new clipboard as well. To open a new clipboard.
Okay, so to open a new, so I already have a clipboard over here, but to open a new clipboard, all you go to is to the clipboard icon itself and just click on it, and it opens another clipboard. You'll see that this one is kind of pale and this one is a solid white. And so the one that's a solid white is your active clipboard. So if I was to go back to indignation here, and hit enter, it will go to the active clipboard, which is the solid white clipboard. And then if you want to try another search or another patient, you can just click on this. Every time you click, it will open a new clipboard, and you can choose, depending on which analysis, which patient, which clipboard, you can choose and make a particular clipboard the active clipboard. But just remember, if you have several clipboards open, then the one that's solid white is the active clipboard. Okay. There is a question here which says, how do you look at rust stocks in Allen? That would be very simple. There's two ways to go about it. You could either go in through remedies or through books, since you know exactly which remedy and which book. So you could type either rust, and it gives you all your rust remedies, and then you could explode this here, and Allen is right here. I have several Allens actually, so you could choose which Allen you wanted to read about rust in. And the other way to do it would be to go through books, and if you knew exactly which book you wanted, then you could pick. So I have Allen here, and then I have several Allens here. But let's say we're looking at keynotes, and then you would go in and highlight the first remedy, and then you could just do Rust, and it will take you straight to rust stocks, which is the first one that appears. I guess Allen's encyclopedia, Allen's keynotes only has rust stocks, and so that would be the other way to read it. So, and I'm scrolling down. So there's a question here saying, let's say you are searching for OCD or monomania and looking for details, what might be a route you would take here? That's an interesting question. If I was doing that, I would probably type obsessive and see what comes up. And so in mind, you have some obsessive rubrics. I would probably be more inclined to look at repertories that have themes. So I know, for example, in the queue, there are, obsessive compulsive types of things. I would look at Mirilli, which has themes, and there are several themes in here that relate to OCD. But I would kind of go on a hunt, and I would look at different things. I've also found OCD useful to look at in Izayaga. It is not a repertory that I'm very comfortable or familiar with, but I know that I have looked for OCD earlier and found lots of useful information in Izayaga. And then of course we have our, more regular like complete repertories, and you could, certainly look for different sorts of things. But the regular repertories I find less useful for something like OCD. I find Izayaga, Mirilli much more useful. And then of course you can always go into your reference library search and see what kinds of references you're getting. You could also search for obsessive within 2 words of compulsive and see what comes up. And so, yes, in the repertory section, again, as Izayaga pops up, Mirilli pops up, because those two I find really good for this. And then in reference works, actually, you see the remedy list goes down, and there are several references here to obsessive compulsive disorder. So, sometimes the way ahead is not clear, and you kind of go on a search and you look for different things that come up, and then based on things that look interesting. The other thing is that you can hover over something that looks interesting, and it gives you the context and that sentence or paragraph where that search term came. So here you could actually read in short the different things that are coming up for each. Like, here there's a Mancinella reference, and then you could go down and you could search, and then whatever looks interesting, you could just sort of click on that, double click actually, and it will take you to that reference in the references section. So here is a case, obsessive compulsive tendencies. but you could basically, and then you go back to the global search and you find something else that's interesting, and you could double click on that and it would take you back in references to that reference. And so you kind of go on a hunt and you look for things that pertain to what you're interested in. There is a question here that says, where can I find shortcuts? We don't specifically have shortcuts listed anywhere. We find that the more we use the program and understand the logic behind how things are presented, it helps you become more familiar with the program and think of ways in which to get the information that you're interested in. So the keyboard shortcuts are the ones that we've explained, but the next version will also have a lot more keyboard shortcuts if that's what you're interested in. And I think possibly we might look to put a list. I think under help is where we have lists of remedy abbreviations, author abbreviations, etc. And that if, once we get a fuller list of keyboard shortcuts, we might put that up there. But at the moment, we don't have a list available. So I think there are several questions, Lucy, about global search and using the number versus, in the same remedy as. And I think we might consider doing a dedicated training just for global search and filtering.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We have a question about filtering by miasm. Do you want to? Okay. We have multiple people asking about that, but
okay. So I know that in terms of actually to connect back to shortcuts, there is not a consistent, easy way to filter by miasm through the graph at the moment. Let me go back to one of my clipboards that I was working with earlier. So I had a patient in mind anyway. So I was looking at here, something here, and you can see pulse came up, and that's why I was looking at pulse and staff. But one way, and I don't know if this actually works, is to go and look at this last option here. So what I did was I hovered over the remedy name and I did a right click, and it gives me these options: to view the remedy in reference library, to view the substance information, to view the remedy information on provings or in the web, or to go to the remedies family. When I say view remedy family, it tells me all the families that or groupings that might be associated with pulse. And I think that you can see traditional so miasms are here, and the three, original Hahnemannian miasms. I believe that this does not work the way we can try, but basically I could select psychotic and see if it limits all of the remedies. It does. So now in the repertorization for this clipboard, what I have done is I have chosen one remedy and decided that this is a psychotic miasm patient and limited my search result just by psychosis. This button lights up, which tells you that there is a filter on the repertorization. If I click that, it goes back to my original. And so now, if you think it's lacuninum, for example, you could do the same thing. You could go here and say syphilitic. And I think because that would not work, because I think lacuninum has elements of all of those, is my understanding. But as you can see, it's not always perfect. The other nice thing you can do here is, I came here through Crotalus cascavella, but the other thing is that is really useful is to say, if you want to restrict or filter your repertorization through another filter. So for example, serpents or just the crotaliny snakes or even reptiles. So if I click that, it would filter my search and only pick out all the snake remedies. So that's another nice feature. But to go back to the miasm filter, so this is one way to do it. The other way to do it is to go into your kingdom graphs and look over here for miasms, click on miasms, and then depending on which miasms you're looking for, if you go here and let's say you want to pick one of these, this should work. So I'm going to click on leprosy. And then if I go back to my clipboard, no, that didn't work. Is there another way, Lucy, of how to do this?
Sorry, I was answering somebody's question in the Q&A. What's the question?
So I limited by viewing the remedy family over here to a miasm, and that did work. But then I tried again to do, I think, syphilitic through lacaninum, and it didn't. And then I tried to do it through the kingdom, and it didn't really look like it did it from here either. So I'm wondering if there's a better way. I know that this has been fixed for the next version, but I want to show if there's a consistent way to do it.
Did you go into traditional? Yeah, so
here. So this will do it, I think. You see, for syphilitic, I guess these are all syphilitic remedies then, if it's doing it. I just thought there wouldn't be that many, but I guess these are all syphilitic remedies.
Many remedies have overlap,
Yes, they do. That's right. So in the traditional miasms, a lot of remedies have overlapped miasms, and so you'll see a lot more. But this is the other way, is to go into kingdom graphs and choose your miasm. Let's try to color. And that seems like a smaller list, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't have a great answer for you guys on this. I know that this is being worked on and improved for the next version, but at the moment I find that it doesn't, I don't get a sense of confidence from when I try to limit by miasm in my work, in my homeopathy work. Okay.
A lot of people are asking, I know we're nearing, we've got about 15 minutes to go, and a lot of people are asking about the next update. Will it be automatic?
Yes.
Will there be a charge for it?
No. So there is no charge. We know that we are working with the program and trying to make it better, and it is nowhere near what we have the vision to make the program. So we have decided that we are not charging for any updates, at least for the near future. I know in earlier trainings where Dr. Paresh has been there and he's in charge of all of the technological development, we said 2 to 3 years we would not charge for any updates. The next update is not automatic in the sense that one day you wake up and your program has updated. It's not automatic in that sense, but everybody who has a program now will get the update free of charge. So in that sense, it's automatic, but there will be an updater link sent, and you have to click on the link, and that will update the program for you. So there is a small sort of procedure involved in terms of a process, in terms of updating your program. In terms of when it's coming, we think it's going to come soon. But the last time when we were going to launch the program, we had such a delay and the development got derailed, and we had promised everybody that the program would be out in September, and we only ended up launching in April. And so that wasn't a great feeling either for us in the company or for our many users and customers and supporters. And so this time we know it's going to be a big update. We want to get it right. There are lots of pieces of the program, including the interface, that are getting changed. And so we want to make sure that we give you a stable, really solid version of the program. So we're not going to put a date on it, because development can be sometimes taking 2 steps forward and 5 steps back. And there's no really good way to predict when the program will be, the version will be ready to release. So we're going to say soon. I'm also going to take a risk and say no later than the spring, but definitely no later than that. But I really can't give you a date at the moment. But yes, it will be free. It will be a small procedure or process to update your program. And we hope that you will be very pleased with it.
And maybe say one quick word about case conversion. I did see a question about that.
Yes, sure. So we have had the case converter ready for a couple months now. What we are really working intensively on is testing it. It's an issue, but it's also a quality. We all work with cases and patients in different ways. And some of us have thousands of cases and some of us have only a few. But we all repertorize in a different way. We use different functionality. And the issue is that we have one program written in a completely different way and another program written 35 years later in a completely different language. And we have to get the 2 programs to talk to each other. So those are 2 separate issues. One, that people use the program in different ways and have different cases with, some have themes and eliminations and combined rubrics, and some don't have any of that. And so all of that complexity has to be able to come from this one program into the other program. And so we are testing different cases from different people to make sure that everything comes over. The other concern is that some repertories don't exist anymore, or people have different versions, or people have let go of some repertories, and or authors have let go of some repertories. So if those rubrics and those repertories don't exist in SHS anymore, then those rubrics won't transfer. Which all goes to say that there are several scenarios that we have to test and identify what things will transfer and what won't transfer. And we want to make all of that clear before we release the case converter, because as I said, some people have a lot of cases and a lot of valuable information there. And we want to make sure that as much of it as can transfer will transfer. Having said that, I think we're very close to the end. So we hope to be releasing it in a matter of weeks, not months. And that's what we know as of today for the case converter. Is there anything else, Lucy, that we should talk about before we wrap up?
Carlos Eduardo Lieto, our wonderful sales representative in Brazil, has requested that we do mention that there is a complete repertory in Portuguese available.
Yes.
And also he said that to limit to Sankara miasms, one click on the name of the miasm on the right works. So I'm not
in the graphs or from the kingdom section.
Let's see if he writes back. Or we could unmute him.
Sure.
If he wants to.
There are also, I mean, there are also lots of questions I see, and we'll save the question answer window and the chat window, and see if we can come back to you with those answers, or save if there are multiple questions on the same topic, then definitely we'll save that to explore in the next forum. And we will definitely consider doing an exclusive session just on global search and filtering. I think there were a lot of questions on that.
He did answer. He came back. He said the graphs. The graphs.
Okay.
So one click on the name of the miasm on the right.
So
on the graphs.
Here, and then go to Rajan's miasms.
Yeah,
I think he said, right?
Sankran miasm.
So this is Sankran Rose. Massimo's group.
Oh, I'm gonna, let's unmute because he can explain.
Yes.
Please open my microphone. Let's see if I can do that. Go to the attendees. Coming, let's see, here we go. Here we are. Okay.
Hi. Hi, hello.
Hi.
Hi, Carlos.
Hello, Roopali. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I
You might be
could do that
connecting.
on the same place you did before, you know. When you please do in your computer where you went last time in graphs in you know where you have minor overview.
We can certainly take it up the
my-
next time, get a better answer, and come back to the group next time.
Go to Miasma's overview.
Carlos, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
You can go to on Miasma's overview. You know, try to
Make
go.
sure you've selected English and muted original audio so
Yes.
that we can hear you.
I can.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't hear him.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Hi. You go to Miasma's overview again where you went last time.
Go to Miasm's overview.
Coloque a sua interpretação em inglês.
So here.
Go to Miasm's overview. Yeah, there.
Yeah, that's where I was.
And then Miasma's Rajan Sankaran. Double click.
This one or the one at the bottom?
No, the first one.
The first one.
One click.
Yeah, that's what I had done the first time.
But try on the name of the miasm.
Oh, here?
Yeah, put there like leprosy or whatever one. Click this. Click
this instead. So click in the bar graph instead of the circle graph.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, let's try that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that looks like it definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Carlos.
You're welcome.
I knew it would work through Kingdom, but I didn't know there was a difference between the circle graph and the table.
Yeah, normally it's on the circle. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Okay, thank you very much, Carlos.
Welcome.
Good. So I think that concludes. We are almost out of time. It's been 2 hours. But we look forward to welcoming you all back. I know you all have lots more questions, and we will save a copy of the transcripts here and try and get back to you, and also collate the questions for the next open forum in February. If you have any other feedback, please do write it in the chat box, so that we will have that for us to work on. It was really a pleasure to have this open forum. I hope it was helpful for you guys. I know we couldn't get to everyone, but whatever we were able to show, I hope that helped you understand the program a little bit better and will help you do your work a little bit better. And we want this to be an open communication between you and us, so we can continue to improve the program and evolve it so that it better fits your needs. Thank you so much for coming and participating and staying this whole time. We look forward to seeing you again next month.